What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Trade Club. For those of you that don't know, this is David Greenberg. He is the
president of Greenberg Capital. I was a trader on the floor of the New York Mercantile Exchange, where all the world's gold was traded. I was president of the third largest clearinghouse at the exchange that cleared local traders such as yourself. It's the independent traders. And I was on the board of NYMEX when we grew the exchange from 800 million and then finally took it for an IPO at 12.5 billion. As well as I sat on every major committee and was co-chairman and chairman and helped expand it all over Europe. So I've traded through 2 of the Gulf Wars, 50 hurricanes, 9/11, and a lot of other world events. And we're just going to talk about how we can get the mindset and the psychology of trading, into a better place where we can help you.
basically David's old school Wall Street. Right?
Yes.
Something that I think is lacking in the industry right now. You have a lot of kids on YouTube, younger kids, whether they're teens, 20s, 30s, that are trying to educate people on topics that I think are important, but they're giving out the wrong information.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. So this guy that I know texted me the other day. Oh my God, he's like freaking out. He goes, crude oil is $107. And I go, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I go, do me a favor, look at 08. And he picks up the 08 chart, it was $147, and then in 3 months it was down to 35. So what I provide is the history of markets, because what you're going to find is that all markets have patterns. And it's like what I told Andrew and I told my son during this whole thing with COVID. I said, use this as a learning experience to see how the market reacts. And really dive in to what you would have done, what you did right, what you did wrong, and learn how not to beat the crap out of yourself. Because in this kind of market or a news market, it's completely different. Mm-hmm. And what I've taught my people that I coach is you have to have different trading styles for different markets, or just know when not to trade.
Different mindsets as well, right?
Absolutely, mindsets are the key. I've always said, and that's why they used to call me the trading shrink at work, because people would close the door. Because I believe that the good trader doesn't become a bad trader. What happens is that their mindset goes off. Mm-hmm. And, I know guys, and I had some, we cleared some of the biggest traders in the world, biggest gold traders, biggest crude oil traders. And when they went off, that was the key. So we would talk about why they're going off, what was happening in their personal life, what was happening in their trading life. And, I would get those people back on track. Because it's all about mindset.
Yeah.
You could be having something in your personal life that you don't realize is distracting you from your trading life. Mm-hmm. And if you don't handle that, you can kiss your trading life goodbye. And what people don't realize, and there were times I stopped trading, was simply because if my mind wasn't there, it cost me a lot of money, and you make bad decisions. So we'll talk about mindset, we'll talk about psychology of trading, and really everything that has to do with that, and more importantly, about how to get the most out of the trader that you are, and also learn not to compete with all these people that you see online, and there's guys like you, Mike, that know what they're doing. But I'm sitting there and watching some of these people, these younger people, I'm like, I'm like hitting my head, I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there from people that just don't have the history behind them. Mm-hmm. To do and talk about what you and I are going to be able to do and talk about going forward.
Yeah, most people I think probably have like 2 to 5 years of trading experience in the current market, right? Which is what have you seen, honestly?
Well, it's the old joke is I've forgotten more about trading than they know.
Yeah.
And trust me, when you get your ass kicked on the trading floor, and when it's immediate and you feel it differently because you were yelling and screaming, and it was crazy times. But I think we have a lot to offer, and that's the key. We're going to offer something that no one else offers. We're going to explain things the way no one else can explain things, and we're going to educate, which is the most important thing. We're going to educate like nobody else educates. And I think that the people that follow you and do this are going to look back 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now and go, wow, that one thing that I learned, that 2 things, that 5 things that I learned has completely transformed our trading. I mean, we've had talks.
Yep. Within minutes, I have light bulb moments.
Right. You always have these aha moments. And the key is all about mindset and the psychology of trading. And I watched 200 traders. I was a risk manager for some of the biggest traders. And I had one trader, was one of the biggest traders in the world. He could lose $250,000, in a day and just laugh it off and go have dinner. Where if I lost 10 or 20,000, I would want to go home and throw the dog out the window. So what you have to get comfortable is the guy to your left on the screen might be a much bigger trader than you. The guy to your right must be a much smaller trader, but don't compete with either one of them. You have to get comfortable within yourself. Because if you're not ready, and I'll tell you stories when I stepped it up at the wrong time and I wasn't ready and I got my ass kicked. Yeah. And then I would tell traders, I watch their patterns, and that's the key, is watch people's patterns. And I was the guy in the clearinghouse that would say, listen, it's time to up your volume because I see that you're breaking through here. No different than I would go up to, if you're having a rough streak, I'd go up to you. Okay, it's time to cut back. And then I come up to you, it's time to take a week off.
Yeah.
Okay, because the amount of money that I could save people by being the outside, and it was really cool because I used to talk to all the traders, I could go down to the pits, or I was down in the pits, and just by looking into their eyes, I could tell what kind of day they were having. And you could see it by their body language, and you could see by the way they were talking, or were they really, my clerk would see me go flat-footed in the ring. I wouldn't have that stance, and he knew I was going to drop 5 or 10 grand, and he had full authority to literally back then. He just put his hand through 3 people, grab me by the collar, and pull me out.
People need that.
Yeah, no. Sometimes
behind the screen nowadays.
Sometimes you need to know that you got somebody that can say stop.
Yeah.
Okay, because I always talk about the Knights of the Round Table when I lecture. And you have to have Knights of your Round Table that can tell you, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Or stop doing what you're doing. And you don't want people that are going to just kiss your ass and tell you how great you are all the time.
Yeah.
So I was always the board member, and I was always the coach that I have no filter. So if I think there's a problem
nowadays.
Yeah, well, there's too much pampering.
Yeah.
There's too much cheering, and at the end of the day, nobody cares how much you made, because if you really did well, they might not be thrilled for you. If you got your ass kicked, they're thrilled for you. And so I always say, just focus on your own trading.
Yeah.
And if you focus on your own trading, you're going to become a much better trader. Because once you start competing against other people, you're not trading for yourself.
There's a lot of noise comparing. That's probably the most recurring theme. You can
crazy.
Get on your phone.
Right.
Me included, I could have a great day.
Right.
I see someone else, my whole day's ruined.
Right, but that's the problem. It's irrelevant.
Right.
Okay, I being a risk manager, I had to look at 200, what they made, and we had some of the biggest traders at Sterling. My father was one of the biggest traders in the world at one time, and I had to get used to that he could have a big day, and what my big day were 2 totally different levels. So being this risk manager and looking at everybody's position and seeing guys, like the big crude oil trader make 250 and a big gold trader making 500. I walked in making 20 and I was thrilled.
Yeah.
It was able to get my ego in check. And it put me in a position where I don't compare myself to anybody on anything. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just because you spend more time miserable. Because, I used to say, it's so funny, but it shows how old my lectures are. If you look at one of them, I used to say, if you're not Bill Gates, there's always somebody richer than you. Okay, well now it's, if you're not Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, there's somebody richer than you. But there's always somebody that's going to be a bigger trader than you. Okay, and to try to compete against those traders is a waste of energy, and it's something that you are never gonna win.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I coach my people on is getting comfortable within themselves, and when it's time to step up.
Yeah.
And by the way, most times when you hear what people made, if they don't show you your P&L, it's total bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, I would hear people saying, "Oh, I made X," or "I made this," and I'm like, I knew what they made that day before, right? And listen, I never said anything. There was one time
There's something honorable about that.
Yeah, it's
competition nowadays, right?
Yeah, no, it's competition. There's one guy that walked in the elevator with my father once, and gold was up a lot. And he goes, "I'm long 300 gold" to everybody in the elevator, and everybody walks off. And my father grabs the guy and goes, "You're long 30. I saw your account this morning." So a lot of it's bravado.
Social media before social media.
Before social media, yeah. Actually, listen. Before social media, okay, and before Twitter and all this other stuff. And when I closed the trading floor, we had the last day that we were literally it was going to be gone. I reminded everybody that we told everybody to fuck off to their face. Okay, and in our market, there's a $5,000 fine and a 2-day suspension if you hit somebody. And at times, people thought it was worth it. So we had one of my trading badges up there. Okay, you see the floor committee badge. There's a policing agency. So it was a much different environment on the floor. But now with Twitter and all this other stuff, no, and it was us. There were fines. We would fine people. But what we found, if we had a fight with somebody, we ripped them apart. But the bottom line is we rip each other apart, and then we go out, we have coffee, it's no big deal.
Yeah, it's a lost art now.
It's a lost art, because now people are so polarized, they're either right or wrong. And we didn't care if we were right or wrong.
That fuels into people's trading too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
People join
I have to be right.
on Twitter,
Right.
You're short, you're gonna lose, it's ridiculous.
It's like
right?
dumb. And by the way, I made more money by being light on my feet and being on both sides of the market all the time. If you get married to a position, good luck to that.
Right.
And that's why when I went on CNBC and Fox for all those years, I would always be flat. And they go, why are you always net flat when you come on our show?
They want the juice.
Yeah, I said, but it was interesting. I said, because then I can give you a true, honest opinion where I think the market's going. I go, if I'm long, I'm not going to tell you I think the market's going down.
Not many people out there.
Right. No, I was told, what they loved about me was that I educated the viewers. I didn't go in there. And it was so funny. One guy says, well, what do you pay to go on? I looked at him and go, what are you talking about?
When you told me that last time, I was mind blown.
Yeah, so many people pay publicists to get on.
To tell you how to handle your money.
Right. So with me, I was never paid. They called me, I was always an electronic trading expert. I was always, an expert on the crude. I was the face of NYMEX for, a while. Every Tuesday when the numbers came out, and I said, I looked at me, nobody paid me. Something happens, they call me to come in.
Yeah.
And it's the people that they call to come in, whether it be me or 20 other guys, or girls, those are the people that you want to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, because if you see it's just a plug for them, that they know that they can then put it on their website and everything
Yeah.
else, well, you know, that's
Which is placement marketing, which is very common.
Yeah, you know, very, very common. And, you know, in my day, I had a fight with one of the anchors. I'll send it to you. We can show it one day. And the next interview I had, she was so nervous. I think she said my full name 14 times. I got my name and my company. It's hysterical. It's on Fox. And I pulled her aside after the first interview. I said, if you ever try to bulldoze me, I go, I know that you were a clerk in Chicago. You never traded. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I will show the world that you have no idea what you're talking about. You know, I said, so trust me, I'll take you and him out for dinner one day, and I'll show you how the markets really work. And then we actually bring that up in the next interview. You know, she starts the interview off by saying, well, I think we had a little roughness on the last interview, and I'm just like, you know, and it was hysterical.
That little instance is what happens nowadays. You got people that are, you know, maybe they have the following, right?
Right.
But they don't have the experience.
And that's
they're
the key.
providing a service and, you know,
Yeah,
accepting money from people, and they don't know what they're talking about. So when you have new school bringing old school together,
Well, that's the key. That's
what's needed, right?
That's why we're going to be different. That's why we're going to be unique. That's why we're going to be, you know, pushing the envelope. And then more importantly, that's why, you know, your people are going to get something that nobody else is going to get.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no egos between us. We're not trying to prove who's better. We're here to educate all the traders on multifaceted ways.
Whatever
of
asset
what
you
we're
trade,
going to do.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter,
Right.
you know. And by the way, the traders need to learn that they're not right about everything, and that's okay. You know, being right is overrated, and I made more money being wrong, because you don't always know when you're right on a trade, but you should know when you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could go from 50 lots long crude to 50 lots short, like that, because that's not working.
Yeah.
You know, and then so I knew I was wrong by losing 3 cents. I felt the market heavy. I would reverse my position and I'd carry it on the other side, and that's the key.
That's a nice buy switch.
No, it's great. You have to be able to be light on your feet, because if you're not light on your feet, you're going to be dead, especially in these markets.